Here are 10 times Spider-Man embarrassed other superheroes. Spidey is known for his little quips, and no one is safe from them. The Peter Parker of Earth 19,529, or the Spider-Man life story world roasted Mr. Fantastic like he has never been roasted before. After finding out that Mr. Fantastic is withholding life-changing information from the public, again, Peter goes off on the guy. I mean, Mr. Fantastic is also talking like he is God and superpowered people are better than your average human, which Peter doesn't really appreciate. Peter says, "You're so not human that even your wife left you for a man who lives under the sea," because this is the world, of course, where Susan Storm left him for Namor. Yeah, Peter was slapped for that one, but he figured that it was the least he could do after burning the guy that bad. But the rest of the team isn't safe from being served some Spider-Man embarrassment either. In the early days of Marvel Comics, Spider-Man was looking for a team to join because he was looking for a salary. So he tried to make the Fantastic Four the Fantastic Five. Only when he leaped into the F4 headquarters, he ended up in a glass cage that he immediately broke out of despite costing the F4 thousands of dollars. He smacked the thing clear across the room, taking the Human Torch out with him, trapped Mr. Fantastic in a web, and Mrs. Fantastic was spun around until she was dizzy. All in all, he gave the team quite a run for their money. Spider-Man in the Ultimate Universe was the highlight of that show, and Ultimate Spider-Man 67, the story where he gets body swapped with Wolverine, is just so funny. Not the stuff with Mary Jane, of course. I'm mainly referring to the banter between the unlikely pair. Turns out Jean Grey had swapped the two as punishment to Logan because he thought being in Peter's body would be the worst thing to ever happen, and it was for the both of them. Wolverine, with his rough approach to life, nearly ruined Peter's relationships with almost everyone, but Peter also caused some trouble, getting the guy arrested and of course making quite a few jokes at his expense, including calling Wolverine's body a chia pet and smelly. Many times, stinky dog body were his exact words. Then in a battle later, as Peter is quipping away in Logan's body, the man stops him because Peter is making him look bad. Since the X-Men caused Peter so much grief when he is swapped back, he kinda goes off on them, resulting in the iconic panel in which Spider-Man tells the team why people really hate them and then proceeds to use such colorful language it's not even written out on the page before swinging away. The X-Men decided to send Peter a basket of something as an apology. But that's not the only time Peter has embarrassed the X-Men. Towards the start of the team's journey, Spider-Man received a personal invitation to join the team in X-Men 27. Professor X himself requested that Beast and Iceman ask Peter, but he turned them down. He said it was because he had already turned down the Avengers, and I guess it wouldn't look good to turn them down and then accept another offer so soon after. Spider-Man also did it because he believed fate meant for him to be a loner. He really was an angsty teen. He literally swung away and left the two X-Men just standing there, wondering how he could turn away such an amazing offer. There was also the moment in the original Secret Wars series where Spider-Man meets the X-Men again, but on very different terms. He literally bursts onto the scene and takes the team out all while jumping and backflipping out of reach. He makes it look easy. Wolverine literally says Spider-Man made them look like fools and amateurs. Spider-Man got the chance to fight the Hulk in Amazing Spider-Man 328. In that issue, Hulk remarks that Spidey was a lot stronger than he remembered, and despite the strength the Hulk is working with, Spider-Man still comes out on top. Hulk might have had to escape because the sun was coming up and at this point he could only come out at night, but that is so beside the point. A later fight between the two heroes in Spider-Man Unlimited 11, that happened on the news, and it was cool because we watched it in the comic as if we were sitting in our local restaurant. The broadcast shows a tough fight. Hulk looks like he is winning at one point. Patrons start placing bets, but then Spidey kicks the Hulk into a wall and a cement truck falls on him. Of course, throughout the whole fight, Spider-Man is also throwing out little jokes and jabs. So not only was the Hulk defeated and had a cement truck dropped on him on national TV, he also had a sarcastic commentary going too. There were a few other times when the heroes brawled, but some of them had outside factors that made the fight unfair, like tranquilizer gas for the Hulk. Peter has told MJ that he thinks he can kill the Hulk, but Peter has a no-kill rule. One thing about Spider-Man and Daredevil, they are going to throw a few punches. These two are operating in the same, admittedly large city, but still every once in a while they cross paths in ways that result in them fighting each other instead of working together. Even times when they are supposed to be working together, the plans don't always go so well. Take Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man 110 for example. The two heroes are rushing to save a victim from the Sin Eater, but after the villain is lays down, pretty soon Daredevil and Spider-Man have turned on each other. Peter had an emotional stake in this particular fight, so he was operating out of a place of anger, meaning he was being a bit too rough with this particular villain, and Daredevil stepped in. Very heroic of him, he tried to talk Spider-Man down, but that just got him thrown out a window by Peter, and then chased through the streets. Daredevil even says that if Peter were more in his right mind, he'd be finished. Then there was also the Amazing Spider-Man 287, in which Peter and Matt were in a cab together, and of course, they started arguing, eventually tumbling out of that cab to brawl on the sidewalk. Peter almost won that fight, if it weren't for the fact that they were in their civilian identities, so to the world, Matt is just a blind man that Peter is beating up on the sidewalk. Not a good look. Peter was physically removed by the cab driver. Those two were either the greatest team to hit New York or at each other's throats, no in between. Not even heroes from different universes are safe from the wrath of Spider-Man. Superboy, the one from DC. Yes, he went toe-to-toe with the web slinger and did not come out victorious. This one is controversial because there was a bit of a God in the Machine happening here. For this face-off, it was part of a voting thing. DC and Marvel characters were up against each other, and then fans could vote about who would win the fight, and in this instance, Spider-Man won that vote, which is embarrassing on its own, but then there's also how he won the battle in the comic. It was a good time. Spidey held his own against Superboy. At one point, a water tower gets busted and floods where the two heroes are fighting. Superboy moves to attack Spider-Man, but instead he gets webbed and crashes into a high voltage box, and you can imagine how that went inside the water. The fight was over and Superboy was cooked. Spider-Man really embarrassed all the Spider people and things in Into the Spider-Verse when he was able to outrun all of them. Miles Morales has proven himself to be a force to be reckoned with over the past few movies, and in the comics too, of course, but this ain't about that. There is no reason for Miles to be able to not just outrun, but also outwit thousands of Spider variants from across the universe, other than he's just that special and different and cool. I imagine the sting from that was hard to nurse, and I can't wait to see how the Spider Society moves forward when they finally release the second half, hopefully. Iron Man might be a father figure to Peter in the MCU, but that story is very different in the comics. I mean, it kind of depends on who is writing, but whoever did Amazing Spider-Man 536, Volume 413, or Spider-Man Annual 20 certainly wanted to see those two tussle. The Spider-Man and Iron Man of the MCU are so tame in comparison to the comic versions of themselves. MCU Tony would give Peter a jukebox and play catch in the backyard. Comic Tony has tried throwing Peter across Manhattan. MCU Tony left Peter Edith. Comic Tony roasted Peter's company to the point of Spider-Man punching him across the face and their resulting brawl being live streamed across New York. Tony tends to forget that he is but a man in a metal suit. A powerful metal suit, but a man at the end of the day, and sometimes he needs a little reminder every once in a while. Spider-Man has given him that reminder quite a few times. ASM 536 Iron Man is after Spidey because Peter is against the Superhuman Registration Act. Peter wins the fight, he overrides Iron Man's armor, and then webs him in the face for good measure. ASM 13 featured the fight after Tony insulted Peter's company to his face. In his defense, he didn't know Peter was Spider-Man, and he was saying all that stuff to Spider-Man, not Peter, but still getting clocked in front of all your friends, fans, and the internet at large, that's embarrassing. Amazing Spider-Man Annual 20 features a bunch of, like, Tony time travel, but the important thing to this video is that Spider-Man gets really mad at Iron Man and throws him into a construction site and then attacks him until Tony is saved by time shifting back to his reality. Rough. Captain America and Spider-Man are an unlikely sparring pair, but when they do go toe-to-toe, it's always a fun read. Cap even once admitted that he wasn't as strong as Spider-Man. But the truly embarrassing Captain Spider-Man moment happened in an alleyway. Peter at this point is wanted by the FBI, and Cap is trying to reason with him, but Peter is having a rough go of it. Cap ends up getting punched in the face. He's holding back his feelings about all of this a bit, I think, because he can tell that Peter is just acting out because he's going through it. Cap takes his shield to block another punch, but Peter grabs that shield and smashes it in the Captain's face. I think I would quit if someone defeated me with my own indestructible superhero symbol. To top it off, Peter escaped, adding some salt to the wound. But what do you think? Let us know. Bye!